Distinguished guests, Director, Chair, Commissioners of the session, and all the participants of today's training session at the simulation of IPHRC dedicated to the 30th anniversary of the genocide. My name is ADAMUN. I'm a project manager of ICYF-ERC, and I would like to greet all of you on behalf of Eurasian Regional Center of Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum, and congratulate you on selection to participate in this session. Yes. Today, our distinguished speakers are Mr. Aydin Satkanlı, Head of Ombudsman Office of the Republic of Azerbaijan, at the same time independent member of Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission of the OIC, Mr. Fahim Husseinzadeh, lead legal counsel at Central Bank of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Mrs. Aydan Bagharli, Assistant Director General of ICYF-ERC, and the Director of the Simulation of IPHRC, Ms. Memuna Mehdi. Talking about the project, I will highlight the partnership with ADA University and ADAMUN Club as the crucial parts of the project plan. The simulation of IPHRC session will create the opportunity for the international students to be engaged in active discussions on human rights, humanitarian, and international law, as well as to help understand and research the genocide and example of Khojaly genocide and massacre. On this space, I would like to give the floor to Leyla Mamadzadeh, chairperson of ADAMUN Club. Floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Said. Hello, everyone. Good day. I welcome all of you, the organizers, our dear guest speakers, as well as our dear participants, commissioners and media representatives in this important event. Me, as the Secretary General of ADA Model United Nations Club, would like to thank to the Eurasian Regional Center of Islamic Cooperation Youth Forum for this for this chance and for this opportunity, as well as for the partnership offer to organize this important event, as well as simulation conference. Since what we specialize as club is to organize simulation conferences, it was an honor for us to organize a simulation conference, especially dedicated to the 30 years anniversary of the Khojaly genocide. I think this event, today's and tomorrow's event, is important for two special reasons. Firstly, the students, both local and Azerbaijani students, will learn more about the international law aspects of Khojaly genocide. Also, they will learn about the Justice for Khojaly campaign, and at the same time, they will learn how the simulation, how the International Commission for Human Rights works, the working principle. The next aspect is simulation. I think students and young people can learn more about the issue, about the Khojaly genocide, by only practicing it, not only by listening to lectures, but also practicing by searching more, by learning how to formulate and organize, as well as represent their arguments among different commissioners. So this real life setting, let's say real life model of the real conferences is important for delegates, for young people to gain awareness of the issue of Khojaly genocide and learn how to represent their arguments in the international arena in the future as diplomats, as representatives of Azerbaijan or different countries. So in this regard, I would like also to mention that majority of our delegates in tomorrow's conference will be coming from OIC countries. This is also an important factor since not only Azerbaijani local students, but also youth from OIC countries will learn more about Khojaly genocide, will gain awareness, and they will also practice how to represent their arguments and how to achieve for broader international recognition of the Khojaly genocide. So in this regard, I think today's session, as well as tomorrow's simulation conference, might be a small but important step to encourage actually youth as well as students to be more aware of the Khojaly realities and practice and learn better how to present Khojaly genocide to the international arena, to the international community, and how to achieve for its international recognition worldwide. So thank you, Said, for this opportunity, for giving the floor. I wish good luck to all our delegates, our participants, and I thank for our guest speakers today for the interesting and informative speeches that they will deliver. I deliver the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lila, for a great speech. And at the same time, we also thank you, ADA University and ADAMUN Club, for the organizational support in the implementation of our project. Thank you again. This stage, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Aydin Sefali, Head of Ombudsman Office of the Republic of Azerbaijan, an independent member of Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission of the OIC. Please, Mr. Aydin Sefali, voice yours.
Thank you very much, dear participants, dear students. First of all, I would like to thank the Eurasian Regional Center of the Islamic Cooperation US Forum and ADA University for organizing such a very important event, and of course for the invitation to participate in the project as a members of Iphrc. As we know that 26 February we will mark the 30th anniversary of Khojaly genocide. And the genocide committed by the Armenians in the town of Khojaly is a clear manifestation of Islamophobia and of course Turkophobia. Because the civil population in Khojaly was killed for the reasons that they were Muslims and they were Turks. And as you know, that the results of this horrific crime against humanity, more than 600 peaceful civilians of Azerbaijan, including children, elderly people, women, were murdered. But unfortunately, the perpetrators of the bloody crimes have not yet been brought to justice. And the unpunishability of those who violated the law and commit crimes, as well as double standards in the world, paves the way for a repetition of such tragic events in different countries also. I would like to mention that the OIC countries and especially IRC organizations recognize the Khojaly tragedy as a genocide. And today, maybe tomorrow also, we will talk about some of the mechanisms for persecution of the perpetrators of the Khojaly genocide. And you know that there are a number of mechanisms. And of course, today everyone, as Azerbaijani, we must do everything possible to ensure that these mechanisms work and justice is done. And taking into consideration this opportunity, I would like also to appreciate your initiatives as yours organizations. And I believe that such initiatives will soon contribute to justice. And with your permission, now I would like to share with you my presentation. My presentation, it's clear for you? I don't know, it's seen or not?
Yes, we can see.
Yes,
okay.
it's open.
Okay. In presentation, I will very briefly talk about Iphrc. It's also a new international mechanisms which we can to recognize Khojaly genocide and also share other crimes which committed against Azerbaijan. First of all, I'd like very briefly talk about history. As you know, the OIC is the second largest organization after the United Nations, with a membership 57 states spread over the 4 continents. And the OIC is a collective voice of Muslim world. And this organization was established upon a decision of the historical summit, which took place in Morocco on 25 September 1969, following the criminal arson of Al-Aqsa Mosque. And in 1970, the first ever meeting of Islamic Conference of Foreign Ministers was held in Jeddah, and which decided to establish a permanent secretariat in Jeddah. And over the 40 years, the membership has grown from its founding members of 30 to 57 states. And the OIC has consultative and cooperative relation with UN and other intergovernmental organizations to protect the vital interests of the Muslims and to work for the settlement of conflicts and the disputes involving member states. Development of cooperation between Azerbaijan and OIC is a prioritized direction of our foreign policy and has a strategic importance. And you know that our country was the first among the CIC countries that appealed to become a member of OIC, and in 1991 had joined the organizations. I would like also to talk about some OIC efforts to human rights issues. OIC had its current declaration of human rights in Islam in 1919, but there was a practical process on ground of mainstream the concept of human rights within the OIC countries. The broad contours of an effective and independent human rights mechanisms were engaged in the OIC 10 years program of action adopted in Saudi Arabia in 2005. Accordingly, the creation of IPHRC was announced in the new OIC Charter adopted by 11th Islamic Summit, which held in Senegal, March 2008. The Commission was formally launched with the adoptions of its statutes in the 38 sessions of the Council of Foreign Ministers, which held in Astana 2011. And the IPHRC initially for new years remained situated in General Secretariat of the OIC, and the government of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a host country provided independent headquarters, which was integrated in 2017. Very briefly talk about the OIC organs. As you know, the organs of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation shall consist of Islamic Summit, Council of Foreign Ministers, Standing Committee, Executive Committee, International Islamic Court of Justice, but this court has not been established yet now, and Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission and other organs. About IPHRC, I would like to talk that the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commissions is one of the principal organs of OIC that focuses on human rights issues of contemporary concern to the Muslim world. IPHRC was established, as I told you, as an independent expert advisory body. The establishment of IPHRC is part of OIC efforts to bridge perceptual gaps and bring compatibility with the universal human rights principles. This body is a like advisory body and with a consultative task and authority to recommendation to the Council of Foreign Ministers. And very briefly about the activity directions of IPHRC, I would like to say that in respect to the operational framework of IPHRC, the statement provides that the Commission shall cooperate with the member states to support consolidation of civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights in the member states. It will also observe and monitor the human rights situation in Muslim communities and minorities. IPHRC may also provide technical cooperation and support organizational that promote and enhance human rights. This is to be carried out broad counseling and legal advice to member states, information campaign and research, and cooperation with other human rights organizations. And in this respect, IPHRC does not handle or investigate cases of human rights violations. Rather, it serves as advisory organ for the OIC and member states. Very briefly about the membership. The Commission is composite of 18 members, 6 from each geographic group. The members are nominated by the member states based on the known expertise and contribution of the nominees in the field of human rights. The election takes place during the CFM with the respective geographic group. The term of office is for 3 years, with provision to be remunerated for elections for another term, the respective member states.
Mr. Aydin, so sorry for interference. Please, can you step by step change your slides?
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, very briefly about the oaths of commissions. You know, every commissioner before assuming the duties shall make the following declaration. And statutes also protect the independence of members of commissions. Commission shall act the personal capacity and express their own convictions and views. And other norms also protect the independence of commissions. And very briefly also about the IPHRC Secretariat Bureau. 3 member bureau, 1 from each group for 3 years. It consists IPHRC Bureau. Functions of the Bureau coordinate with the Secretariat for various international and factional matters. And they have also Secretariat headed by Executive Director, small but very efficient Secretariat. And the functions of the Secretariat is providing support, the commissions, holding meetings, preparing briefings, documents, and meaning support research activities. About the guiding principles, I would like to say that the guiding principles, it's very important principles for the activity of IPHRC. Complementarity, it means that IPHRC must not be compared to any of existing human rights mechanisms or duplicate the work. The values added to IPHRC lies in complementing or bridging the gaps for the benefit of the member states. Introspections founded is a remedial and not a judgment approach. And IPHRC must build capacities and provide solutions for the member states in the area of human rights. Prioritizations based on Commission's judgments dealing with issues accordance with the importance may be a right way forward. And the incremental and the progressive approach as being sustainable. Importance of credibility cannot be overemphasized. IPHRC has established credibility with both member states and international community. About the mandate, I have talked with you, but for me, very important to share with you areas of priority. Especially 5 areas of priority consist of the activity of IPHRC. It's Islamophobia, Muslim minorities, Palestine, Jammu Kashmir, Rohingya Muslim minority, right of woman, right of child, right to development, right to education, including human rights education. About the functional mechanisms, under the IPHRC, we have created 5 working group on human rights on women and children, on Palestine, right to development, and Muslim minorities, and also Jammu and Kashmir. Activities. I would like to say that the IPHRC, as mandated by statute, holds 2 regular sessions per year, normally for 5 days for each sessions. The Commission during the sessions discuss terms a draft agenda and receives expert briefings from General Secretariat, and also invite UN experts. A thematic debate is held during each sessions, which is attended by the representatives of the OIC Secretary General. Annual seminars of during the year maybe have 2 or 3 times. And during the activity, IPHRC has undertaken 6 field visits, fact-finding reports, and one of these was to Karabakh. And now I would like very detailed talk about it.
So sorry, we cannot see slides.
What?
Just right now. We cannot see slides. Like Commissioner cannot see slides. Just right.
Okay. And just very briefly, I would like to mention that Independent Permanent Human Rights Commissions, on the initiatives of government of the Republic of Azerbaijan, from 23 till 27th September, undertook a fact-finding mission on the recently liberated region of Azerbaijan. And the delegation visited the cities of Aghdam, Tartar, Ganjal, and during its visit, Aghdam, the delegation observed some of the places were damaged, and there is destruction caused, and cultural religious museums. And the delegation, when visited to the recently liberated Aghdam, which remained under the occupation since 1993, they were really shocked and to witness the extent of irreversible damage inflicted to the physical infrastructure, rich cultural and religious heritage. And the delegation had the opportunity to visit the Imarat of Panakhan complex, Central Juma Mosque of Aghdam, and other places, and all of which are in ruins and dilapidated. The Central Juma Mosque, which was built in 1870, and is not only religious site, but also cultural heritage, was visibly vandalized. It had graffiti signs of bullets and shelling, both of the interior and exterior. And the delegation collected visual, photographic, documentary, and circumstantial evidence from the victims and the governmental and non-governmental agencies and other independent sources about the natural and existing of international and collateral damage caused the life, property, cultural heritage, and environment during the period of 1992 to during the 30 years. And the report of the fact-finding visit was discussed and adopted by the 18th session of IPHRC and presented to the 48th CFM meeting. And also, I would like very briefly want to talk about the international norms, which also explain us how we can recognize Khojaly genocide. Just very briefly, I know that I have a small time, that's why I'm very briefly talk about the rules and activity of IPHRC, and I would like just to say that IPHRC also one of the main mechanisms which we can use it. And I have talked that we have some of numbers of mechanisms for holding offenders of Khojaly genocide criminal level. One of them is to set up an ad hoc international criminal tribunal for Khojaly to investigate the crime of genocide of Khojaly and bring offenders to justice. And the international tribunals, as you know, are mechanisms for administration of justice over the natural persons and the states change with the Commission of International Crimes. In history, at various periods, international tribunals had been established on different matters. And the first international tribunals, such as Nuremberg and Tokyo, was established after the Second World War, and to prosecute persons who are alleged to have committed crimes against peace and making, and later and ad hoc international criminal tribunals to bring the perpetrators of genocide, crimes against peace, and making committed to the territories of the former Yugoslavia and Rwanda. And given that the deeds committed during the Khojaly genocide constitute an integral part of the crimes of genocide and crime against humanity, I think that an international tribunal for Khojaly shall be established. And I particularly would like to underline that under the conventions on the non-applicable or statutory limitation to war crimes and crimes against humanity dated 26 November 1960, the requirement that of a crime of genocide be prosecuted at any time, irrespective of the date of the commission of a crime, makes its issues remain always relevant. And the next measures to punish individuals responsible for the execution of the crime of genocide in Khojaly is to make the international search for those who were found guilty of the commission of this criminal offense, and to achieve in bringing them to Azerbaijan and to prosecute them. And we have very good practice like this. I think you remember case of Lapshin when we brought it to Azerbaijan. And according to the UN General Assembly resolutions on principles of international cooperation in the detection, arrest, extraditions, and punishment of persons guilty of war crimes, crimes against humanity, which adopted in 1973. There is a special need for international action for prosecution and punishment of persons guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity. And war crimes and crimes against humanity, whenever and wherever they are committed, shall be subjected to investigation, and the persons accused of such as criminal acts shall be subject to tracing, arrest, and punishment. And the practice of extraditions of persons who unlawfully entered the state borders of the Republic of Azerbaijan and demonstrated disrespected to the territorial integrity of and sovereignty of Azerbaijan can be applied to the individuals who are responsible for the executions of the crime of genocide in Khojaly. Under the international law, genocide is a crime against peace and making and recognized as one of the gravest international crimes. And the UN resolution dated in 1948, it was stated that genocide is a denial of the rights to life of individual human beings by insulting the human ego. Such denial of rights of existence shocks and the consequences of making, which results in great losses to humanity in the form of cultural and other contribution represented by these human groups. Similar norms have been enshrined in the status of the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia and Rwanda, as well as in the domestic criminal legislation of several states, including in Article 103 of the Criminal Code of Azerbaijan. And during the Khojaly genocide, all acts consulting the crime of genocide set out in the above noted international legal documents and in our criminal legislations have been committed by Armenians. And there are several mechanisms for the prosecutions of the perpetrators of the Khojaly genocide. Indeed, everyone should do their best to ensure the execution of these mechanisms and the administrations of justice. And I would like to note that states of Azerbaijan has taken important steps at a high level to bring the perpetrators of Khojaly genocide to justice, and these works are being continued. I would like especially to mention that the international propaganda campaign Khojaly for Justice for Khojaly plays an important role in spreading the truth about the Khojaly genocide in the world, in recognizing this strategy as an act of genocide against the Azerbaijani people. And also, I would like to highlight that the Prosecutor Office of the Republic of Azerbaijan also has launched more than 7,500 investigations into the Khojaly genocide, and the involvement of 39 people in Khojaly genocide has been fully proven. That's why I once again highly appreciate your initiatives as a yours organizations, and I believe that such initiatives also will support to bring to justice all of the perpetrators of Khojaly genocide. That's why I very briefly talk about some of international norms and about the activity of Iphrc. And if you have any questions during our webinar, with great pleasure, I will answer all of your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khojaly, for your great presentation and valuable speech. At the same time, we believe that gaining knowledge in this session will help our participants in their law research, human rights practice, and similar experience as well. So if there are any questions to Mr. Khojaly, you can ask.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Am I audible? And thank you very much, Dr. Ideal. It was a very, very insightful and a very, very good presentation. I have only one question. 7,000 plus investigation that was concerning this issue. Is there any outcome over it, or you still waiting for the result? Is my
so please, can you repeat your question?
Okay, the latter part of his presentation, that there is over 7,000 investigation that was lodged over this genocide. Do you receive any results, or you still waiting for the results of the investigation that was filed against this?
Thank you very much for your questions. As I mentioned, that our General Prosecutor Office has launched more than 7,500 investigations into the Khojaly genocide. And this involvement, we just finalized our investigation, and we also have a list and sent a list to the Interpol, and now we are looking, found these perpetrators, and also brought these persons to the justice. But I can also only to say that we have just did investigations, but unfortunately the perpetrators of these bloody crimes have not yet brought to justice yet. Now we are working with some of the countries, some of the law enforcement bodies to find these persons, and also to punish according to the legislation system of Azerbaijan and according to the international law.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's very understood. Thank you.
Dear commissioners, if there are no questions, we can finalize our first session with speaker, Mr. Khojaly. Thank you again for your speech and presentation that is valuable for us, for use, for commissioners, and the implementation of the project. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And if during the webinar, if you will have any questions, with great pleasure, I can answer all of your questions.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Aydin. As I see there are no questions, only thanks to you for excellent presentation. Thank you again. Yes. Our next speaker for today's session is Mrs. Aydam Barole, Assistant to Director General of ICYF-ERC, with her presentation about the Justice for Khojaly campaign. What is yours?
Thank you, Said, for introducing me. I would like to speak about Justice for Khojaly campaign. I would like to share with you slides. So I will give some brief information about the historical facts about the genocide and then move to the campaign. So at the end of 1987, the Armenian SSR openly laid claim to the territory of the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast of the Azerbaijan SSR. Then began further expulsions of Azerbaijanis from the Armenian SSR and the Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblasts, and a number of lawful decisions were taken by both Armenia and Armenian community in Nagorno-Karabakh to institute a process of unilateral secession of the region from Azerbaijan. And on February 22nd, 1988, near the settlement of Askeran, Armenians opened fire on a peaceful Azerbaijani demonstration, and two youths lost their lives in this consequence, and they became the first victims of the conflict. Then the Armenian authorities, they issued instructions that resulted in about 250,000 of Azerbaijanis being forcibly deported from their homes in Armenia. And the process of this deportation were accompanied by more deaths, by widespread killings, by tortures, by destructions of their property, by pillaging throughout Armenia. And in total, 216 Azerbaijanis were killed in Armenia during 1987 to 89, including children, women, and elderly people. Shortly after Soviet Union ceased to exist at the end of 1991, Armenia and Azerbaijan were accorded international recognition, and the Armenian attacks on Azerbaijan even more intensified. Armenia unleashed the war, used the force against Azerbaijan, occupied its territories, including the Nagorno-Karabakh and adjacent districts. It conducted ethnic cleansing of the areas occupied. They expelled about 1 million Azerbaijanis from their land of origin and committed other serious crimes during the conflict. And finally, they established a subordinate, pure separatist, ethnically pure separatist entity on the occupied Azerbaijani territory. Some basic facts about Khojaly. So it's a town in the Nagorno-Karabakh region of Azerbaijan with a total area of 940,000 square kilometers, and the population before the conflict of 7,000 people, and having the only civil airport in the area. Khojaly was an important center of communications. So how it all happened. So over the night of February 25 to 26, 1992, following a massive bombardment, Armenian armed forces, and their military, paramilitary units, they moved to occupy the town, also with the support of the former USSR 360 regiment. And the remaining inhabitants, about 2,500 people, they were trying to leave the town. They were hoping to reach the nearest area under Azerbaijani control. And they were either killed by gunfire from Armenian military posts, or they were captured near the villages of Nakhchivanli and Pir Jamal. And others, mainly women and children, they died from frostbite while wandering in the mountains. And only few were able to reach an Azerbaijani-controlled town of Agdam. So it was the largest, what happened in Khojaly was the largest massacre of the conflict. And totally, it took the lives of 613 people, and including 63 children, 106 women, 70 elderly, 8 families were completely annihilated, and then there were 25 children who lost both of their parents, 130 of children lost one of their parents. Also, people were burned alive, scalped, beheaded, had their eyes gouged out, and also pregnant women were bayoneted in the abdomen. So some sensitive pictures that I would like, some sensitive content that I would like to show you. So it get the legal appraisal, the qualification of the crime, and the massacre in Khojaly is a crime against humanity, a crime of genocide. It's a definition. So both the current and former presidents of Armenia, Serge Sargsyan and Robert Khojaly, they, together with many other high-ranking political and military officials of that state, as well as the leaders of separatist regimes which were established by Armenia in the occupied territories, they all participated personally in occupying Azerbaijani lands and in actions taken against Azerbaijani civilians and militaries. And in answer to the journalist's question as to whether he had any regrets about the deaths of thousands of people, Mr. Sargsyan answered, "I have absolutely no regrets, since such upheavals are necessary, even if thousands have to die." So this verse from a human holding the highest political political and military posts in Armenia, they speak for themselves and disapprove any attempt to deny Armenia's responsibility for that crimes committed against Azerbaijani civilians during the conflict. Although Azerbaijan has been seriously suffering at that times, from information blockade, from extensive pro-Armenian propaganda, was widely highlighted in the world mass media. So I would like to show you the mass media. So these are the ones who shared the conflict. And for instance, the New York Times, 3rd March 1992, stated, the Azerbaijan chief in Agdam, Rashid Mamedov, said, "The bodies are lying there like flocks of sheep, and even the fascists did nothing like this." So with the expansion of the international campaign, which was met with understanding and full support outside of Azerbaijan, the need to find and apply more creative forms of bringing the truth to the widest audience, and this had risen. And as time and events had shown, there was a great need in that. And for this, the international awareness campaign, Justice for Khojaly, It was initiated on May 8th, 2008, by Leila Alieva, who is the General Coordinator for the Islamic Conference Youth Forum for Dialogue and Cooperation. So the aim of the campaign is to raise public awareness of the Khojaly genocide, the root causes, the consequences of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, the need for the soonest and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian armed forces from the Nagorno-Karabakh region and other occupied territories. So campaign makes use of different channels, different resources, different communication tools like web portals, live events, mass media, social networks. The events are organized with the framework of the campaign and to demonstrate a strong opposition to massacres, to ethnic cleansing, to racial discrimination, to ethnic, religious discriminations, and express solidarity with the victims of Khojaly genocide, and to underline the need for a fight against impunity for the crimes, against injustice, the injustice against the Azerbaijani civilians. So some of the campaign pictures that I would like to share, some events. So there were also petitions to world leaders. It's also actively used as a tool to convey messages to global decision makers. For instance, there are drawings that express the message, reflect the campaign theme. So over the past few years, the international community has made significant strides towards the recognition of the genocide. And in Khojaly, for instance, different legislative bodies of countries like Colombia, Czech Republic, Jordan, Mexico, Pakistan, Peru, Romania, Sudan, and other also 14 states of USA and other states, even I think they are increasing. So during the 44-day Second Karabakh War, we also were able to restore the justice. And I would like to share with you the campaign that we are currently launching. So, Khojaly, Recognize to Reconcile. I would like to show you the video of this campaign, so to explain how we're going to implement it. We are going to start it on February 25 to 26. And for now, I would like to explain you there are only 2 steps for that. So here it is. Please listen. So the first step is to find social media accounts of the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, and the Ombudsman of Armenia, Arman Tatayan. So you find their Facebook page and you comment on their Facebook, Twitter post with 2 hashtags, Khojaly and Recognize to Reconcile. Or you tag them on Twitter with the Khojaly and Recognize to Reconcile hashtags. So that's it. Very short steps, and we would like to invite you all to support this campaign starting from February 25 to 26, so that we restore our justice of Khojaly. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you very much, Aidan, for your great presentation and invaluable information about Khojaly and the essential campaign, Khojaly Recognized to Reconcile. If there are any questions to Ms. Aidan. There are no questions, Ms. Aidan. Thank you again for the valuable presentation. Dear commissioners and all participants of our training session, our next distinguished speaker is Farahim Hussein-Zada. Is the lead legal counsel of Central Bank of the Republic of Azerbaijan. And Mr. Farahim-Zada is here. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Could you hear me well? I guess you could do, yes? Sure. Thank you so much for invitation, and thanks for speech. Actually, you have touched two very vital issues and mainly covered issues very comprehensively. So actually, I've divided my speech for some cornerstone that. So what has been done for the recognition of the Khojaly genocide? What is the level of recognition? The ways for more reaching out, and then some of offers of mine that lastly I'm gonna make. Just as you know, where the conflict comes, so the conflicts lie in the centuries long because of Armenian historical territorial claims, and then in early 1988, so they started aggressive actions and etc. to implement the long-standing plan to annex Nagorno-Karabakh from Azerbaijan and other regions. So what happened in 1992 in Khojaly is a massive case for several reasons, actually. So the act was very clearly, it was a use of force in a civilian statement. Actually, I have mentioned this in my interviews to the international programs and some TV broadcastings as well. So the way how the Armenians actually bombed Berda, Ganja, Tartar, so in a 44 Karabakh War, days Karabakh War. So Khojaly also was the place that in a civilian statement. So there was no any kind of military basement. There was no any reason actually for this. And secondly, when the attack happened, it was just the starting of the hostilities and some actions between parties. So it was very obvious that the Armenia intended to just to gain some psychological advantage to show that so we are able to make ethnic cleansing and etc. So I would like to give you just very brief sample of mine, just very brief life cycle of mine. So myself, I'm also an IDP from another region of Karabakh, so-called Jabrail. So you cannot imagine, even if like I was born just after a year of occupation, I feel the remnants of Armenian aggression during all my life from childhood. So it's kind of, it might seem hard for some people that they can't live it in their lifelong. But me and my family's life conditions, psychology, and had been like adversely affected by the fact of occupation. And imagine there were like families in Khojaly that all members of some families, they have been massacred. How many lives that they were destroyed? So they got traumas during all their lives. So what happened there in 1992 was a genocide, and there was disgrace of all mankind history. And why it happened? Just there was one reason, because these people were just Azerbaijani. So the offenses committed during the conflict and what happened in 1992, they entail both state and individual criminal responsibility under international law. Actually, Aydan previously just mentioned very briefly. So there are sufficient grounds to conclude that the government of the Republic of Armenia and the forces for which it's liable under international law are responsible for serious violations of international humanitarian and law and human rights law. So which are amounting the crimes under international law. So thus, due to its initial and continuing aggression against Azerbaijan and its continuing occupation of the territory, the Armenia bears full international responsibility for breach of international law. I'm not going to dive into deep so much for international law, despite I'm a lawyer, but my topic is a bit different. Just I would like to highlight that in its judgment in 2010, the European Court of Human Rights has stipulated this fact as well. And alongside the Republic of Armenia's responsibility as a state for internationally illegal acts and the wrongful act, under the treaty norms of international criminal law, some individuals also bear responsibility who participated in these acts, and they are also accessories. That's why compelling the Armenian government to issue an official apology and also to offer assurance and full reputation for the injuries, it's very important. So what has been done so far? I would like to talk about the recognition of the genocide from the perspective of organizational level and from the perspective of some states. As you may know, the genocide is recognized by parliamentary acts adopted in numerous countries. So far, the legislative bodies of 16 countries, as well as the 23 states of US, have adopted the relevant parliamentary resolutions. But while we are talking about the organizational level, so we should tell that the Human Rights Watch and also the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and Turkey Council, they had adopted this resolutions for this. On the job of recognition, Organization of Islamic Cooperation bears a vital role, and I guess contributed the biggest job, the biggest contribution on this issue. Likewise, in 2012, in Djibouti, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation adopted a resolution recognizing the crimes in Khojaly as a genocide. And also in 2013, the final communique issued for the recognition of Khojaly genocide. And these recognitions are essential to send a political message to the perpetrators of the crimes that sooner rather than later justice will win. And at this point, the highlight of importance, as you mentioned, the project, the campaign, the Justice for Khojaly should be highlighted because as you know, the campaign initiated by Ms. Leila Aliyeva, so General Coordinator of Islamic Conference Youth Forum for Dialogue and Cooperation. So it has been supported by Islamic Cooperation Organization experts. And the very important point is that, in addition, it was agreed to submit the meeting of ICO ministers, the proposal on inclusion of the Khojaly massacre in textbooks on Islamic countries. The resolution also states that besides the approval of list of tragedies, including Khojaly tragedy, the campaigns should be carried out for dissemination of right information on humanitarian disasters faced by peoples of Muslim countries in the 20th century. And the campaign's activities are directed towards honoring the victims and keeping their memories alive. And this very important statistics that I would like to stipulate, that more than 120,000 people and more than 100 organizations have joined the campaign, which is a really huge number for the recognition issues. The ways for the recognition, the practices, that what should be done actually, I would like to mention 6 main points that, I mean, like according to my opinion, that it's very important. So we have to broaden the area of recognition in organizational level. Yes, we have to accept that a lot of job has been done during the period of time that's so far. But this is very, very vital as well, vital step, because states join organizations for different geopolitical purposes, right? And the recognition by organizations, I mean, the recognition of some facts or some event that expresses the will of these states, right? So as well. So they broaden the aerial recognition by the organizations of the Khojaly genocide is very important, and it should be deprioritized, like for now. The second, the recognition in global sphere should be in parallel with raising public awareness. For this, a lot of jobs are done as well, but at the same time, I guess the new innovative methods must apply to this process. For example, as you know, and you heard probably, there is one, like last I've seen the new Instagram page called 7 Stories. It's about one girl just living with her brother and her grandparents. So each day, the victim of the Khojaly genocide shares like her daily lifestyle, as if there was Instagram, let's say in 1990s. So there are kind of dozens of methods like that can help to raise public awareness. So, and to use these new innovative methods, they're very important to reaching out a voice. And third, we have to avoid misleading information. You know why I would like to highlight this? For example, if you just search about the Khojaly genocide, there are lots of information and sometimes they differ from each other. This is, I know that intentionally done as well by our enemies and they're some, I don't know, IT specialists and etc. But I think that from our side as well, for example, the Wikipedia editors or some persons that were like running these issues or other responsible persons, they should be more careful on this issue about, so there should be one line of information that there should be no misleading information, even if our enemies, let's say, or some people that they don't want to have more accurate information on Khojaly genocide. So we have to avoid this. And fourth, to raise informational base in the web world. For example, in Google, if someone writes down, let's say genocide, there are numerous of info about like Armenian genocide, which archives and historic data show that it never happened normally. So, but we should reach more info about Khojaly genocide, which really happened, and and it's a very like massive disgrace of all mankind history. So a lot of work should be done on this issue as well. And the fifth, scholars, historians, and human rights lawyers as well. It would be better to publish more articles and publish in a prominent web page. And I'm sure that getting more citations will arise awareness by global scholar circles on the genocide. Actually, I've done some research as well on this issue. I would say that we have lack of like publications, you know, and this, you know, the like to show the real exact statistics, to show the real like interviews with the like victims of Khojaly genocide and its recognition and etc. So these relevant issues should be shown in this like educational portals and etc. And the sixth and last one, Their role of simulation conferences is very important, and I would like to thank all organizers to realize this. Like at my bachelor years, I also have participated at the UN and Shanghai Cooperation Organization simulations as well. And this is a very important tool to deliver truth to the world. Yeah, because you interact from different parts of the world, and sometimes they can have lack of information. And coming together and to sharing ideas, it's very important. And I do believe that despite the Armenia and Azerbaijan are moving forward to have peace in the region and numerous cooperation methods in the region are improving, we shouldn't forget at the same time what really happened in 1992 in Khojaly. And because it's one of the darkest and heartbreaking pages of our history, at the same time for maintaining sustainable peace for future nations. Now our generation should not grow seeds of wrath in a national basis. And as Azerbaijan's national leader Heydar Aliyev said in his speech addressed to the nation of Azerbaijan on the occasion of 10th anniversary of Khojaly genocide, this merciless and cruel genocide was the most dreadful mass terror act in the history of humankind. And Azerbaijan has took its lessons from history and chose the path of development. You know, despite being involved in the conflict, began a period of rapid development in recent years. And we are proved ourselves as a reliable international partner and regional leader, and major regional projects initiated by Azerbaijan contributed not only Azerbaijan and to the whole region. And one important issue I would like to tell that Azerbaijan is one of the most tolerant countries in the world, where all ethnic minorities live, enjoy their rights fully, share their cultural with others, even fight for one goal, like guarding motherland. We have seen this in the last Karabakh war. We're also a country that we're second largest Jewish community outside, like Israel resides, where all Christian people live in the brotherhood together, enjoy their religious events. Despite the majority of the country is a Muslim, we are the secular country by constitution. And we're the country which is the guarantor of energy security of Europe and the crossroads of many cultures. This all show that we as a global strategic partner should have the voice, shout truth to the world. And we as a young generation has a huge responsibility for this sacred mission. Not only because we're a suffered nation, but also for the future of mankind, because this kind of massacres, this kind of genocide should not be repeated again to the none of nation, to the none of community, to the none of like ethnicity. Thanks for your attention. If you have any questions, I would like to answer. Thanks for the invitation as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Faramzad, for a great speech and especially informative speech about the Khojaly massacre. At the same time, additional information about the legal documents. Additionally, actually, I highlighted the moment with communique, Cairo final communique dated 2013, and the essential moment of this communique was that as the regional office, ICYF-ERC also, before and during the adopting process of communique ensured OIC with essential documents, legal documents, and cases to be well prepared to the adopting this communique. At the same time, if there are any questions to Mr. Faramzad, our commissioners, you can ask. If not, I would like again thanks for him, Mr. Faramzad, for the presence in our today's training session and sharing his experience and especially theoretical knowledge with us. Thank you very much. Dear commissioners and all the participants of our training session, today one of the essential parts is the explanation of the delegate manual and the process simulation, as it will be the first this kind of simulation for the international, organized for international students, and especially in this case. Today, our distinguished director, Ms. Mamina Mehdi, will explain the simulation process and the delegate manual for our commissioners. Please, Ms. Mamina Mehdi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Saeed. So I would like to greet you all. Good afternoon and good evening to all of you. And I welcome all the distinguished commissioners for the IPHRC simulation training. So we're going to go through the simulation manual, and it would definitely make you more informed and friendlier with the procedures and rules for those of you who are doing it for the first time. So without wasting any time, let's move to the simulation manual. I hope you all can see my screen, and in case if there's anything in between that you miss out or my screen doesn't show you, you can point out. So first of all, as we all know about, that it is dedicated to the Khojaly genocide, which is on the 30th anniversary of the Khojaly massacre. So we would definitely do our best to achieve the results which are related to the recent campaign which we are running, Justice for Khojaly. One moment. So the presentation is firstly about IPHRC. As Mr. Aydin Safihanli told you about IPHRC, I think much of it is clear already. But again, let's talk about IPHRC, that what exactly is IPHRC. It's the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission, and it is the expert body which works in the advisory capacity of the OIC for achieving human rights in its member states. So the purpose of this simulation is basically twofold. Firstly, to educate the participants on the current workings of the IPHRC, the commission itself, and the existent human rights violations which are going on in the member states. And the second purpose is to train you all in the real-time scenario. And for us, this time it is the Justice for Khojaly, the Khojaly genocide. So talking about the rules of the procedures, first of all, the definitions, the commission, the director, and the chairperson. The commission is comprising of the 18 members, who are the elected commissioners to the simulation, the director, and the chairperson, who would be overseeing and monitoring the simulation process. So the general rules, the scope. The rules shall be applicable to all the committees during the conference. Our working language will be English, and we expect you to follow a business attire. If not, you may follow your national or traditional dresses. As a matter of fact, all delegates, all commissioners are supposed to behave in a courteous manner to the chairperson, director, and their fellow delegates. The quorum and attendance, the chairperson will declare the committee session open, and it will be open to debate once half of the members of this commission are present. The agenda as determined will be shared at the beginning of the first committee session, and then the chairperson will declare the list open for the speakers. The speakers list, after the agenda has been determined and the session has been declared opened, the speakers shall be admitted in the order of the list determined by the chairperson, and then they will be able to contribute towards the general debate. No delegate can address without the permission of the chairperson, and all relevant remarks will be noted by the chairperson itself, and these rules of speeches cannot be violated. Yields. A delegate, when granted a yield, has a right to speak under the substantive issue which is being discussed in the committee session. If the remaining time is still there, you can either yield it to the chairperson or to a fellow delegate, or even you utilize it for questions. So the structure of the commission, which is 18 commissioners, 1 director and 1 chairperson. It is like the Iphrc committee itself. The member states who are participating, like the commissioners, shall ensure that the candidates can utilize highest degree of independence, impartiality, and expertise. So what will be the functions? As commissioners, you, in your personal capacity, you all have the right to express your own beliefs and values. Commissioners shall be expected to exercise professionalism, truthfulness, independence, impartiality, and integrity. The commissioners shall not receive any instructions from any member, any other commissioner, or any third party. The chairperson shall preside over the sessions of the commission. He or she shall act as a spokesperson of the commission and supervise the simulation secretariat, and will perform all the functions intersessional period. In the absence of the chairpersons, he or she can be replaced with the vice chairperson. The director is responsible for carrying all the functions and the duties, direct, plan, and coordinate the tasks of the secretariat, like the administrative part, and the director shall attend the meetings. However, the director will not be participating in any deliberations or the voting process. However, they can make any statements in the meeting pertaining to the work of the commission. So about the sessions. The sessions shall be held within the regular duration of the limit. The commissioners shall convene at the secretariat, and they shall adopt at a working agenda on the beginning of the meeting. And this working agenda can be either passed forward to the subsequent sessions. However, the provisional agenda shall be drawn by the director itself with the consent of the chairperson. The provisional agenda may include items proposed by inter alia member states, NGOs, human rights institutions, and the other member states who are working for the upholding of human rights in their countries. At the end of the session, it will be concluded by the resolution, by the report, and the proposed item shall be adopted by the simple consensus of the commissioners who are present and who will be voting. So basically, we have 2 types of sessions, unmoderated motions and moderated motions. Like here you can read the examples. I will just read it out for you. Like the representative of Sudan would like to raise a motion on the an unmoderated motion for 15 minutes in order to discuss the issue of nuclear disarmament. So in unmoderated motion, the chairperson stays silent and the commissioners are open to talk by themselves. However, in the moderated motion, it's timed. Each commissioner has a specific time to speak, and you would be directed by the chairperson. The conduct of the business, the duties and powers of the chairperson are to declare the meetings open or close. The chairperson can withdraw or grant a floor to any commissioner in accordance to the rules. Then they should call for the vote on the matter of discussion and announce the outcomes of such votes. They can rule on any points of order, and they can declare the adjournment of the closure of the debates as well as the suspension of the meeting. The list of the speakers and the time limit. The chairperson shall grant the use of the floor to the speakers, who are the commissioners, in the order in which they have requested. The chairperson may limit the time according to the interventions, And the chairperson during the debate may read the list of speakers and also declare the list closed. The points of order during the debate, a commissioner may at any point raise any point of order, and if the chairperson has to decide immediately. If a commissioner objects on any decision, then it should be immediately put to vote, and the outcome will be by simple majority. And while you are raising a point of order, the commissioner shall not debate on the substance under discussion. Motions. A commissioner at any time may move for the adjournment or closure of the debate. In the absence of the consensus of the commissioners, the motion shall be put to vote. A commissioner can move for the suspension or adjournment of the meeting. In the absence of consensus, again, it shall be put to vote. And any adopted or rejected proposal in the session cannot be reconsidered except by unanimous decision of all the commissioners. So there are some rules regarding the points: the point of order, the point of personal privilege, the point of information, and the right to reply. These are self-explanatory, so let's move on. The proceedings and the report. So the heading, as well, while we are going to make the report, it should be included on the topic which we are having our simulation, and it includes both the list of the sponsors and the signatories of that report or the resolution, who are the commissioners themselves. Then there are some preambulatory clauses which defines the background of such the resolution, and then we have the operative clauses which defines the actions and the recommendations which that resolution would take in order to resolve the issue. So the sponsors of the resolution are the principal authors, and they agree with the document substance. And the signatories are basically the commissioners that can either agree with the substance of the resolution or disagree. That is, they can debate on it, and they can also propose amendments. And the approved report, like the approved draft report, can be modified even if there are amendments by the commissioners. So the voting procedure is as follows. We're going to have a procedural voting, substantive voting, voting rights, voting conduct, and voting order. So all motions are considered to have a procedural voting during the session. Then there's substantive voting on any resolution, and a commissioner may not abstain to vote. Like, everybody has to vote in any case. Voting rights, every commissioner's vote is counted as one. And after the chairperson announced the beginning of voting, nobody can interrupt in that. And the commission shall vote on the resolution in the order in which they were presented. Thank you all for listening. If you have any questions about this, you may ask, and we can clarify. Furthermore, this presentation can be shared with you. So let me know if any. I would definitely answer you all.
Thank you very much, Mamiana, for the great presentation and especially explanation of the process simulation, because it's one of the fundamental parts of our tomorrow's project and program. So, commissioners, if there are any questions to Ms. Mamiana, you can ask.
I would like just to thank Ms. Momena Mehdi about very wide presentation, because my time was very limited. That's why I just give very little examples about the procedures of Iphrc. But it's really a very great place for sharing all of the issues which we concern in Muslim Ummah. And I would like just to mention that very recently in February, I have participated in the international seminars against Islamophobia, which held in Istanbul. And I am also used this opportunity to also share any information about which would concern in Azerbaijan. And also I have talked about the Khojaly genocide, and I also invite other OIC countries also to recognize this genocide, because if Islamic Ummah will undertakes the activity together, we can reach our achievements. That's why, as you know, the main directions of ICYF-ERC is not only just in Palestine, Jammu Kashmir, and Rohingya minorities issues, and also Islamophobia issues which happens in West countries, in US. That's why we are concerned because if, for example, why we need, for example, recognition of the Khojaly genocide? It's not for only for Azerbaijan. It's for all of the Islamic Ummah, and we want to prevent this strategic event in other countries, because we should bring these perpetrators to the justice. That's why we should work together. And just for information, I would like to say that a number of world's leading news agencies, for example, The Times, The Guardian, Reuters, and BBC reported about the brutal signs of criminal acts committed against humanity in Khojaly. And also the Memorial Human Rights Center and Human Rights Watch also provided information about these horrific crimes which was committed against the civilian population in Khojaly. And I would like to say that one of the very important roles plays also national human rights institutions. I just want to share our experience. Our Ombudsman office every year made a statement about Khojaly, and tomorrow also you will see our statement, and we will describe all of the crimes which have been committed by Armenian terrorists, and also according to the international law. And also we urge to the world community, to the UN agency. That's why in this field, for example, your organizations, for example, and students should have active collaboration with other OIC countries, with young generation. And also you should learn about the UN treaty mechanisms, how we can use UN treaty mechanisms, how we can use regional mechanisms, how we can use mechanisms under the OIC countries. That's why we should use all of opportunity to achieve our goals. And I would like also to mention that at present, the legislative bodies of 70 countries, as well as 24 states of the United States, have adopted resolutions and decisions condemning the massacre of civilians in Khojaly. Just very recently, yesterday, we have information that Virginia state of USA also have adopted resolutions and decisions condemning the massacre of civilians in Khojaly. And except that we should not also forget about our missing persons. And I would like to note that nearly 400 Azerbaijan taken captive or hostage and went missing, including those missing in Khojaly, is still unknown since Armenia began its unlawful territorial claims against Azerbaijan. And that's why we have more tasks, and during, for example, Istanbul conference, we have talks that, for example, tragedy happens in Rohingya. We cannot say that it's not our concern, it's not our problems. All of the problems of the Muslim community are problems. That's why we should be together in this field. In that case, I really appreciate your initiatives, and also I would like to thank all of the speakers, especially Ms. Semaima Mehdi, about the very wide information about the activity of ICYF-ERC. And I am, as a member of ICYF-ERC, I am also every time will discuss about it. And I would like to just inform you, in August, I have visited to Kashmir, and I have visited to Kashmir in Pakistan and meet with victims of the tragedy. And it's really terrible situations. And unfortunately, we should say that we faced with double standards. in the world community when, for example, some of the, for example, tragedy happens in Muslim countries, all community, I don't know why keeping silence, do not react about it. But we do not, we should not keep our silence. We should react. We should fight. That's why all of the problems of the Muslim communities are our problems. Not, for example, problems of Azerbaijan, problems of Rohingya, problems of Pakistan, problems, I don't know, in other countries. All the problems we should see our, how to say it, like achievements. That's why I would like to thank all of you. I think together we can reach all of our goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aydin, for a great speech and especially informative speech, and actually spoke about the real facts cases, and this is essential in understanding of our commissioners' use. We should know all of them, all of the cases. We should research, explore the cases, cases of genocide, cases of human rights violation, in the name of the international cooperation, regional cooperation, as you said, to reach essential fundamental goals on the way to the peace, especially regional peace, peace in territorial in the territory of South Caucasus as well. At the same time, you in your speech touched our one of our fundamental missions, missions of our office, ICYF-ERC, the international collaboration in the name of development cooperation. At the same time, as you said, we should be together. We should launch essential campaigns about the kind of promotion of the Khojaly genocide, and post and work on social media about the Khojaly genocide. As you said, 17 countries and 23 states, the United States of America, so far recognized the Khojaly genocide by legal documents. And at the same time, we should work on the future collaboration on the name of the recognition of Khojaly genocide for the reconciliation. As I said, we have the special campaign which will be promoted on 25th and 26th of February. The name of Khojaly, recognized to reconcile. So we as ICYF-ERC and our regional offices, regional partners as well, ask all of the international students living and studying in Azerbaijan or abroad, no matter, the main thing is the promotion of the informative promotion of the Khojaly genocide. So we'll really ask you to help us to promote this campaign and work together in the name of recognition of Khojaly for the regional and international reconciliation. Thank you again, dear guests, dear speakers. If there are any questions about the session, about the simulation, about the topics of our speakers, our dear commissioners can ask. If not, we can finish our today's meeting. Yes, there are no questions, and we can finish our today's training session. Thank you very much, all the participants, guest speakers, director, for the presence in this training session. Inshallah, see you tomorrow on the simulation day at ADA University. Especially thanks, Mr. Aydin for your valuable speech and presentation and help in promotion and informing international students living and studying in Azerbaijan about the Khojaly genocide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I wish you success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.